In 2004, under the leadership of Marcia Beckford, the Professional Development Training Office received the challenge of implementing net learning, a learning management system as an enterprise solution for training, record keeping, and registration. For Beckford, it was more than a challenge, it was an opportunity to change the face of professional development at the University of Miami.
The ultimate goal is for the employee and their manager to have control of their learning. Really, the goal of net learning was to decentralize the process so that the actual users and the designers had control over their own pieces.
Beckford's vision was to tie professional development goals with performance evaluations and to create a reward system that would award those committed to professional developments and working to narrow their working gaps. She understood that net learning was not the right system to support that vision. Net learning had been purchased to track and publish training at one of UM's hospitals, and it was never meant to be used as an enterprise-wide solution. Scalability would become a major concern. This was validated a year later when increased usage slowed down the back end of the system. It became apparent that net learning could not offer the features needed to support the e-learning and professional development goals set for the effort. And at Beckford, the goal for the LMS morphed into providing a vehicle to assist in career enhancement through competency development, tightening learning plans, and using professional development as a vehicle to lead to reduction in turnover due to poor leadership and skill gaps. Based on user feedback, limitations of the initial system, and the direction of the strategic plan, a decision was made to eventually migrate to a new environment that would provide a more comprehensive learner-centric experience to the learners and would meet organization goals. The organization needed a system that would provide compliance reports and data on skill and competency gaps that could be translated into career mapping and then be used as tools for succession planning and promotion. To get the financial support and buy-in for a new system and initiatives, a plan was set in motion to establish the needed infrastructure and to guide training practitioners through a paradigm shift on how professional development was to be done at the university. Beckford's strategy was to create the structure needed to support the vision for the organization's learning, even without the adequate tools.
The research was telling us was that with blended learning, we could address some of those issues. Definitely we could level the playing field. People would be able to look at something offline that would bring them in with the same content knowledge, and then for both the instructor and the participants, the in-class experience was a lot richer because they all knew what the instructor was talking about. They were all there to really experience the content knowledge, not to start the learning. They were prepared to learn. They were prepared to do the activities. They were prepared to leave there with some level of experience with the material. Everyone knows when you go to training, everybody has a different idea of or different content knowledge about the subject. So I feel stupid to ask a question. No, it didn't matter because I came in with the same knowledge as somebody else, and the instructor didn't have to go to a 7th grade level. They could actually treat the employees as the adult learners.
As the projects were rolled out, the stakeholders were open to the possibilities and were coached on the acquisition of skills needed to implement such change. The changes to professional development in 3 years under Beckford's leadership have been remarkable. Employees have gained access to required modules 24/7 from any environment that allows them to learn. The CBL portion of the system allows employees the flexibility of learning at their own pace and at a time that is more practical for them and their department needs. Because training addresses knowledge, skills, behaviors, and attitudes, various levels of knowledge acquisition are equalized. This expedites the skill-building process by concentrating on practical experiences that increase transfer of learning back to the job. Trainers gain time for skill building by utilizing the content creation tool to impart knowledge. Thus, more classroom time can be focused on proficiency, training reinforcement, feedback, and learners' individual questions.
Once our users got more sophisticated, we started out by really just begging any and everybody to put stuff in the system, and it was mainly PowerPoint based. They started learning what they didn't want.
Since net learning's implementation, 250 CBLs have been designed and developed by various departments, utilizing both the learning management system and content creation tools. An additional 108 CBLs were purchased for use by one of the medical center's specialty hospitals. Beckford's blended learning and distance education strategy produced a paradigm shift at the university that created opportunities as well as challenges for the department.
In the new system, what the online modules will be different because they'll be broken down into the actual learning objects. And what that allows us to do is to reduce duplication, because we'll have objects that we can reuse across different computer-based learning modules. And that's important because it reduces the designer's time, and it also has continuity of the learning. Because if people are redesigning something, we don't know if they're training them on feedback, that everybody's being trained the same way on feedback. By using the reusable objects, it gives continuity to that learning, so that we now know that everyone who's trained in a specific skill is being trained the same way in that skill.
PDTO's change management strategy was based on Rogers' diffusion theory. It was implemented starting in early 2005 and included the following steps. 1. Identification of a champion for change. 2. Realignment of existing resources. 3. Increasing number of course offerings and traffic to the system. 4. Set standards and model innovation behavior. 5. Get lateral buy-in as well as from leadership. And 6. Partner with designers and SMEs. PDTO's plan included create excitement and show proof. PDTO created excitement by identifying and getting the support of a champion, keeping the champion informed. In the beginning, going for quantity, increase traffic in the system and number of online offerings available, collect data on system usage, participant feedback, and managers' comments, brand the system early so people feel they own it, educate stakeholders on the possibilities, and have them promote standards and best practices. When it was time to select a system, 56 systems were researched using 3 major areas: functionality, cost, and vendor responsiveness. From those systems, 5 were previewed by PDTO leadership team, and 2 were then selected to be previewed by all major stakeholders. Data collected after the previews and information sessions reveal an overwhelming consensus among the stakeholders on which system to select. It is important to note that both systems were extremely similar and met 99% of the requirements. This consensus was a strong witness to the success of the change management process initiated by Beckford's leadership in 2004. The group, composed of 50 people, branded the new system as ULearn and participated actively in the communication and diffusion projects implemented to pave the way for the system's implementation June 1st of 2007. They were and still are an integral part of the strategy to manage and support the change management process at the university during the migration period. Even though Net Learning provided each department in the university with the autonomy to access and maintain its own training records and met the initial goals set for the effort, ULearn will expand on those achievements to bring professional development at the university to a new level and will provide the tools to support senior leadership goals for the organization. The e-learning and professional development strategy is built on a new system functionality and allows PDTO to create a learning structure that promotes a learning as needed environment. ULearn will identify and prioritize key positions for prescriptive learning. It will access employees and provide them and their managers with a roadmap for skill and competency gaps that is then customized automatically in individualized learning maps within the system.
What we're expecting with this new system is that there would be an increased participation in whether it's computer-based learning modules or instructor-led training, because of all the features that it has in terms of reminding people about training, in terms of actually showing them how they can map what their skill gaps to the courses. The current system, because they can search on either a skill gap or category, or they can search on something of actual interest to them, it'll target the training more for them. So it'll be a lot more individualized. I'm expecting more cost savings because more of our designers are moving toward computer-based learning in a blended format. I expect that we will see more faculty involved in training than we ever have had before, because they can now learn something that they want to learn in the time that they need. And we will have more proof, not only of certifications, but that training happened, that learning occurred, and that the managers on their level as well will be able to actually fast track people, because they will be able to assign them to courses that they feel they need, and through that process identify those employees that we need to be looking at in our current market situation that are promotable that are ready for a change and a challenge, and therefore be able to push opportunities to them where we haven't been able to do that before.
ULearn will enable professional development activities to become individualized and to be tracked in one central location to support employee development and performance, as it places one of the university's greatest assets, the employees, in the forefront to support the growth and strategic plan of the university.